Good morning, everybody. We are going to go over the first 7 problems of your worksheet from Monday. Then we're going to go over 3. There's just not 3 on here from the bottom half of your worksheet. I did not have a 4-function calculator at home, the small ones like we use in class. So I'm going to use my phone instead. If you have your phone, use it. If you want to use your calculator on your computer, that's fine too, okay? It'll all work. So in yesterday's lesson and in today's, we are converting fractions into decimals, okay? In the video lesson, you learned that the number in the top, which is called the numerator, you type that in first. Okay, so you have numerator divided by denominator. So top divided by bottom. So in my calculator, I'm going to type 4 divided by 5, hit equals, and there is the decimal equivalent to that fraction. Okay, so this decimal, we learned how to read decimals correctly here a couple weeks ago, I guess. So 0.8. That's really read as 0 and 8/10. 0 and 8/10. If you remember, we used our chart here. So it would have been 0 and 8/10. It doesn't show up well because it's blue. But 0 and 8/10. Okay, let's go on to the next one. 1/4. So we do 1 divided by 4 in our calculator. 1 divided by 4 equals, we get 0 and 25 hundredths. 0 and 25 hundredths. For number 3, the difference in 3 is that we have a negative. Okay, we can't type a negative into our calculators. Some on your phone you can, but in our regular calculators in class, we can't. So we have to remember to bring that negative over into our answer. After we do that, we can just treat it like a normal problem. 7 divided by 8. Okay, 7 divided by 8 equals 0.875. So in this case, negative 0.875. All right, for the next one, I'm going to tell you before we type in 2 divided by 3, we're going to get this long repeating decimal, okay? There's a way we're supposed to write that, and I will show you how, but we can't do it like that in a Google Doc. So I'm going to show you how to do it the right way, and then I'm going to show you how I want you to do it in a Google Doc so I understand that you have the answer correct. Okay, so we're going to do 2 divided by 3. Okay, so see that long decimal? The 6 is repeating. So the proper way to write this is to put down 0.6. To show that it's repeating, we're supposed to put this bar or line above the 6. And that's just a short way of saying, hey, this number, it keeps going forever and ever and ever. Because who wants to write that out? But we can't do that in a Google Doc. So in a Google Doc, what I want you guys to do, that number that's repeating, I just want you to write it out a couple times. I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm going to put 4 simply because it's 6s. And I will understand in your homework that you're telling me this goes on forever. Okay, so the next one, 2/5. I'm going to scoot my calculator over here and hope I don't erase that. Okay, so we're going to type in 2 divided by 5. 2 divided by 5. We get 0 and 4/10. Okay, now on 6 and 7, they both have negatives. So we have to make sure we get that negative in our answer or we're going to miss it. Okay, then we're going to type in 1 divided by 3, and we get that super long decimal again. So the correct way to write it would be like that. But since we're doing it in a Google Doc and we can't, we're just going to write that 3 out, a couple times. That way I understand it's going on forever. Okay, when we get back in person, we will go over how to do this correctly. We'll probably have a worksheet on that where we can actually write it out. All right, so let's do number 7. We're going to do 3 divided by 8. We get 0.375. I'll give you a second. I'm going to ask you if I forgot anything, because right now my answer's wrong. So what I forgot was the negative. The negative from right here, -3/8, has to go on my answer. Okay, so if you write that down as your answer, you're going to miss it. You have to remember to get that negative in front of it. You have to pay attention to the details. All right, let's scooch over to this second section. Okay, in our assignment, we have, I think, 6 problems. And the directions say to take the numbers that were given and order them from least to greatest. Okay, so it's a little difficult to do it if you have fractions in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert all of these to decimals, and then I'm going to work on ordering them from least to greatest. Okay, so I know that 1/3 is this answer, just without the negative on it, because I've already done it. So I'm going to put down 0.3. I'm going to put my bar over it. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry everybody. Deacon needed a snack. So I've converted 1/3. I don't have to convert 0.5 because it's already a decimal. I also don't have to change -2.9, but I do have to change -3/5. So in my calculator, 3 divided by 5, 0.6. I've remembered my negative, 0.6. All right. Now, to order these, I would draw myself out a number line. Okay, because we're going from least to greatest. So this is the least side. This is the greatest side. Okay, and then I would plot them. 0.333333333. So that's going to be somewhere like here, and I'm going to put 1/3 above it. I know you probably can't read it, but I can. Okay, so then 0.5. Well, that's a little bit further this way, even though that's not completely accurate on my number line. 0.5. -2.9. So that is almost -3. So above it, I'm going to put -2.9. Then I'm going to plot -0.6. So here's 0, so -0.6 is about right there. So -0.6. Now I know this is hard to read because I have such a wide-tipped marker, but if I wanted to go from least to greatest, I would just write my numbers down from left to right after you've plotted them on the number line. So I have -2.9. Then I move to -0.6. Then next in line is the 1/3, followed by 0.5. And there we go. We've answered that question. Okay, so I'll erase my number line. Move on to the next one. We're going to do number 16 and number 17, and then we'll be done. So the first thing I'm going to do to make this easier on myself is convert -5/8. So on my calculator, I'm going to put in 5 divided by 8. And remember to put the negative on my answer. So we have 625 thousandths. 1.2 is already a decimal. Then we have to do 1/8. 1 divided by 8 is 0.125. And this is a good one to just memorize, guys. 1/2, -0.5. It's just going to benefit you to memorize that one right there. Okay, it's going to come up a lot. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plot this on my number line. That way, when it comes to writing them from least to greatest, I just write them from left to right. So I have -625 thousandths. So that's kind of close to a -1/2, but it's a little bit further. So -1/2 would be about right there. So -6, I'm going to say is there. Okay, so that's really -5/8. So above it, I'm going to put -5/8. I know you can't see it very well, but you will know when you plot it on your number line. Okay, 1 2/10. So it's a little ways past 1. I'm going to put 1.2 up here above it. Then I'm going to graph my 1/8, which is just a little ways past 0. Okay, so 1/8. And my last one is -1/2. So -1/2 would be about right here. I'm running out of room. -1/2. And then for my answers, if I'm writing them from least to greatest, I will write them from left to right. So on my, grabbed the wrong thing. On my left side of the number line, I have -5/8. Then I have -1/2. Then I have positive 1/8. One moment. Then I have 1.2. I couldn't quite read my own writing. Okay, so I have now written them from least to greatest or left to right on my number line. I'm going to pause the video one more second and then do one problem. What do you need? Do you need another? Did Mickey Mouse go off? I want more Mickey Mouse. All right. Okay, everybody. I'm sorry. Deacon needed something. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to show you how I would do it on an actual piece of paper. Okay, these are our number lines from school, by the way. I stopped and picked them up Sunday evening, I think. It was one evening I stopped and picked them up because I didn't have much hope on us being at school. All right, so number 17 on our assignment. Pull up, let's see, -1, 1 1/8, -2.5, and -2.7. Okay, so these are mixed numbers. It's a mixed number when you have a whole number and a fraction put together. So I'm going to do the same thing on these. I'm going to go through and convert them to decimals because they just make more sense. Okay, so -1 is going to stay -1. Then there's the 1 1/8. Okay, so we learned in the last question that 1/8 is the decimal 0.125. Okay, since we know that, we can just kind of carry that over because this is 1 1/8. So instead of putting 0 right here, we need to put the number 1. So it'll be 1 1/8. So we're going to write down 1 decimal 125. So move this here so you can see a little bit better. So 1 125. Now, if you didn't remember that, you could always type in your calculator 1 divided by 8, and then you just have to remember to go in and put the whole number in place of the 0. Okay, same thing on the next one. I'm going to have to remember my negative sign. It's going to be 2 and then this is the one I said would be a good to remember. 1 divided by 2 is decimal 5. Okay, the last one, you don't have to do anything to it. Okay, then if I don't have a number line at home, I'm just going to make myself one. Okay, so I notice there's nothing really bigger than 3. So I'm just going to do this. -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't have to have all of this because I don't need all of it. So setting that aside, I'm just going to plot my numbers. So I've got -1, 1.125. So it's a little ways past 1. Probably right there-ish. 1.125. Just so I can remember, it makes it a little easier. Let me see if I can get this a little closer for you guys without really messing it up. I'm keeping my paper straight. That's the hard part to do on this. No mercy. Yeah, that's probably about as good as it's going to get, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, the next one. -2.5. So here's my -2. And I need to go half more. So -2 and a half. And then I have -2.7. So we have to stop and think, which way is really bigger? Because 7's bigger than our 5. So on the number line, when we're dealing with negatives, this way is really bigger to the left, which in turn is really smaller. So -2.7. Had to squeeze that in there. Then to write my numbers from least to greatest. So if we're going least to greatest, after we do it on a number line, we're going to write them from left to right. So after we plot them on the number line, we just list them out from left to right. So this little one over here that you probably can't hardly read, -2.7. Then we go -2.5, on to -1, and finally 1.125. But what did I do this time that's different than how I answered my previous ones? I really forgot to write them back the way they were given to me. So I'm going to come underneath and go, okay, 2.7, -2.7. Okay, that's what my question was. I don't have to change that one. -2.5. Uh-oh, I didn't write that one the right way. So this one should really be a fraction. So I'm going to change it. Okay, then -1. Well, that's -1. 1.125. Oops, my problem had that as 1 1/8. So I'm just going to change that back to the way it was. So 1 1/8. Then I have my final answer. Okay, that is all of the problems I'm going to cover with you. You are still responsible for the other half of them, which should have been completed yesterday. Today's assignment is exactly the same. All I did was go in and change some of the numbers and problems around. You guys need to work on that if you haven't already completed it, and Monday's assignment. They're all due on Friday, just like everything always is. If you have questions, email me. I'm going to put my email right here. You guys could just pause the video and copy it down. Okay, there's my email. Email me if you have questions. I can set up a Google Meet with you, whatever you need. All right, bye guys.